Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Little Give. I'm super excited for you to meet our guest today. He's doing incredible things. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about.
All right. Hey there, Cindy. This is Jahmaal Marshall, founder and CEO of Listen and Speak LLC. And I tackle burnout at the root with proven methods to 2x your time and maximize your productivity. I'm a certified counselor and an executive coach. And I'm also the host of Listen and Speak podcast. So,
wow. Tell us how you got started with all of that. It seems like quite a bit.
Oh, man. So I think you and I talked offline, but also the funny thing about with Listen and Speak is I wasn't looking for it. It was looking for me, but it started long ago. I would say probably back in 2009 when I realized my life was falling apart. And I had growing up, I had a very strained relationship with my father. I grew up in a pretty abusive household. He was both a crack and a heroin addict. And I'm sure everybody can't relate to that, but and he was also an alcoholic. And so that created an environment with a lot of unpredictability and no control. And so one parent was divine, another to me was mean enough to be Satan himself. And so I found a way where anything I could control, I would control. And that made its way into my patterns, my profession, my romantic life, everything about me. But also the way my trauma manifested itself was a fear of rejection, allowing that to color everything I did, everything I said, just the way that I was. And I found myself putting out fires that were not my own or bringing more to the table than was necessary. As a student, I was a straight A student, stayed on the dean's list. I got academic scholarships, so I barely paid less than nothing to go to college. Graduated at the top of my class from Regent University. And then during that time, I also worked for the government Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons. I got outstanding on every performance appraisal. But as a professional, first to get there, last to leave. First on every project, wanting to know how can I do the most. And I didn't realize that I had really poor boundaries. And also I had my own addictions. Sometimes just to rid myself of certain anxieties, it was pills to go to sleep, pills to wake up. So outside I was crushing it. I would be considered a high achiever, a high performer, but inside I was being crushed as a result of my own trauma. And my life, though people outwardly observed me to be this great upstanding citizen, was just a trauma response to things that I wasn't dealing with. So with my own addictions, my own brokenness, and just the broken person that I was, I found out about some residential counseling in the Midwest. And I decided at that time I was transitioning to a co-op in the government, but something went wrong with my paperwork and HR. And so I literally worked myself out of my GS. And so I was without a job. And I actually began to identify with well, what do I do now? Am I my job? I'd already graduated. And it was just strange. I said, okay, I know I'm supposed to help people, but before I can help people, I myself need help. Before I can heal, I need to be healed. Before I can actually get people results, I need results from the inside out. Otherwise, this thing will just be a farce. So I did it. I invested thousands of dollars and nearly 13 months of my life into intense counseling. And after that, they decided, hey, we want you to do an internship. And I was like, here in the Midwest, I was like, there ain't really no Black people out here. I decided to go ahead and go through it. And after that, I started in administration. And through administrative work, I worked in customer service, and also I did prison correspondence. They started training me for counseling and getting certified in counseling. I already had a background in counseling and psychology, as far as my education, but they wanted to train me and get me certified. And so for a few years, I would enter into that certification process. So that's when it really deepened my understanding from behavioral and the clinical and the spiritual, just all three of human behavior, and how to actually not focus so much on behavior, but my modality is the belief that informs the behavior. It's a long-winded answer, but that's my first answer to your question.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically, or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
You know, not a lot of people feel comfortable sometimes asking for help. What is it about you that made you feel comfortable, like, I need help and I'm going to go seek that out?
I don't know, and I don't want to say everybody has this, but some of us have that gift of foresight, and I could see this is going to crash and burn at some point. If you continue down this road of this outward great persona, but this inward darkness and this brokenness and these addictions and this subpar living and all of this self-loathing with no boundaries, you're going to hit a wall. And so a part of me was like, before you hit the wall, pump your brakes. That's something we say, in the urban community, just pump your brakes. And so that represented me pumping my brakes and wanting more for myself and seeing the need to fill my own cup. So that's my answer to that question.
Yeah. So what was the startup? Whenever you decided, okay, I like this, you do the program, you do the internship, you're like, I like this. I'm going to take it and try to help other people. What was your first step in that direction?
Well, I was still at another organization, at a nonprofit coming out of the government, and they transitioned me from administrative work over into the counseling department. They were like, well, you do great with customer service. You do great with the inmates in the prisons. I was actually going into the prisons. They said, but we know you're more suited to deal like one-on-one in a group session with the clients that are coming in here. We see where you were and we see where you are now, and the two are like night and day. And so they began training me for that. And so around 2013 was when I first started taking like my clients. They said, you kind of been doing this without the title. Now that you have the certification, you can actually do this. And so for the better part of 4.5, nearly 5 years, I was taking a lot of different counselees and just people under me, and also training counseling assistants and direct reports. And so that's how it started. And I realized a running theme with my first group, they all had issues with their dad. And, I skipped a lot of information just in the interest of time, but around 2006, before I went away 3 years, my faith is important to me. I was actually able to lead my dad to Christ, even though I still have my own brokenness. and I got to see this man change from night to day. Now, it wasn't perfect because, you're expecting perfection and everything like that. And I realized you and I both run global brands. People don't believe what we believe, but I saw a miracle. No one can ever take that from me. And I went back home after this internship before I came back to start working. And I told him stuff that I didn't think he even knew about me, and just the love I received, and to watch this changed man, somebody who I once hated, became my best friend. So that was a huge part of me. Also, before I started working with other people, there was healing of scar tissue that happened in my own heart. And I start seeing the running theme with the people who will get assigned to me and come on my caseload of, oh, I know exactly how to put my finger on what the pain point is and the root cause because I've been there. I hope that's helpful.
Definitely. So what is one of the tools that you provide your clients with to help them kind of, break down what's actually underneath the pain that they're suffering or the struggles they're going through?
That's such a good question, Cindy. And I want to start off by saying, especially now that I transitioned out of counseling, as a part of another organization in my business and running my own business, a huge modality that's a part of my practice is in the consultation. When we're together for 30 minutes, I'm going to figure out that one size doesn't fit all. I think you do a disservice, and there's a lot of high performance coaching out here that just goes with, this is my modality, or I've trained in positive psychology, or like, you got to do the PQ reps. That person may not even need reps. You got to find out what is the specific need of the client. I think a huge thing that's a part of my practice is that when I find out who is in front of me, then I get to see this is the root cause that you're dealing with. And this is the unique curriculum. I assign a curriculum of like maybe 3 to 4 different books based on who I get. So one of them is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another is a book called Perfecting Ourselves to Death. Another is a book called Atomic Habits. And then another one is just a habit building book. One of the phrases I've coined and trademarked is a pattern remains a pattern until it gets disrupted. And so I want to make sure I go in and disrupt the specific patterns in clients. And more importantly, I tell them during the consultation that I grew up, my great aunt would watch us sometimes. And you got all these little boys and my sister in her house, and we're wanting to watch what we want to watch. And we had to watch TV with her. And so she would watch these soap operas called The Young and Restless and something else like that. And so every episode followed the other. And so with my sessions, every session comes on the heels of the other. So that way we measure progress. And I also have a shared Google document with homework and specific audits that I work with the client so that way they can see their progress. This is not just talk therapy where we're just snowballing and bemoaning our existence. We're actually getting results that you can measure, and also seeing magnified progress.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
So whenever you do that, where you're trying to like peel back the layers and find out what is going on with an individual, what are some of the questions that you can tell the audience that maybe they should be asking themselves if they really need some help?
Got it. I would say for audience, ask yourself, why does it take you so long to come to a decision? Why do you have to defer to everyone on the planet, including extraterrestrials, before you make a decision? Also ask yourself, why do you give a person a keynote speech every time that you say no? Ask yourself, why are you the first person to get to work and the last person to leave? If you're a business owner, ask yourself, why are you working Saturdays and Sundays? Do you have, some people have a different off day. Do you not have one Sabbath day out the week where your clients don't have access to you? Or why you're giving people more access to you than is necessary? And why are you often putting yourself in a position where there's a narrative created about you that you're always available? Ask yourself, these are hard questions, but ask yourself these questions and get gut level honest with you. When you look in the mirror and get real, and sometimes we look in the mirror just to get ready, but when you actually stand there and look in the mirror and look at those flaws, then you're really ready to deal with them. And then ask yourself, what is the running theme of my complaints? When you're having pillow talk with your spouse or significant other or your friend group, what are the things that you complain about the most? What are the highest points of your resentment? Even though you may tell it in a joking manner, it's still a problem for you. But some of these are problems that you've either created for yourself or problems that you've allowed to persist for fear of not dealing with them.
Great questions. I think sometimes you get to the bottom of things whenever you can find the right question to ask. Have you seen a lot of that in your career?
Oh, yeah. I deal with root causes. We both know CBT is effective. I come from a CBT background. Who doesn't? And that's cognitive behavioral therapy. But a lot of that is work from the outside in. That's going to focus on changing your behavior. My unique modality is to deal with the belief that informs the behavior. And so when you ask yourself these questions, you're literally disrupting your belief system and you're building in your mind new neural pathways. I want to speak in layman's terms. You are actually telling your brain something else than what it's heard for years. I hope that's helpful, Cindy.
Definitely. Definitely. So tell us, what's your favorite part of doing this work?
If my favorite part, I know it's gonna sound really corny and hokey, is seeing the finished work. And it takes a while. Like none of us, I mean, you've heard my story in this short time we've been together. I didn't get that way overnight and I didn't change overnight. So, but seeing clients change, and then I love doing offboarding because that's when you get to see like it's testimonial time. It's time to hear about the result mechanism. And I recently did an offboarding last week, and my client, she had been in therapy and in counseling for over 20 years, tried so many different things. And she said, how was I able to get to you and in 12 weeks accelerate more than I had in the last 20 years? She said, something about your process works. And I hear that over and over and over again. That and more importantly, when I see what happens, especially when I'm dealing with, senior leaders, because that's mostly my clientele, senior leaders, VPs, mid-level managers, and obviously, business owners who are small business owners or large. That's kind of the group, the handful of group that hires me. When I see the people under them, when I see the ripple effect, because it's not just one person. Like we don't live our lives in a bubble with their families, because we're still human beings. When I see who they are on home front, but also who they are on work, and that you hear, Cindy, you and I are both active in the social media space. All you see is the word toxic workplace. It's like, imagine that the work that I'm doing is actually changing the data on both Indeed and Glassdoor. We're changing the narrative. That's like one of my favorite parts. Seeing people live instead of just existing.
Absolutely. And you know what you're doing to get somebody to heal a little bit more on the inside is going to help for generations, because then they're better husbands, better brothers, better sisters, better, members of society, better parents, all the things.
That's it. And that's what I call the ripple effect. We hear, of course, our world is we talked about this, you and I, revenue driven, but, and we have to live off revenue. We all have to make a living. But I think sometimes we forget about the eternal impact that our work creates. And when I see the impact in husbands and wives and families, these are the things that long after your business is gone, or after you sold your business to some billionaire, you still have you to deal with. And the people who have been affected, the people who are on your team and in your business, what impression are you leaving with them?
Absolutely. And then their families, and it's so on. And that's what it's all about. Obviously, like you said, we talked about this as well, is that we have to make money. Money is so important because the way our society is driven is with money. But at the same time, we can still have that human component and really help to make sure that we're giving back and doing the things that we can do to help our society become a better place.
Spoken like a pro. There's nothing I can say to follow that masterpiece.
Can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they can do in their community that might be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side?
I want to tell you something that ever since I've been a little boy, now I'm an 80s baby who grew up in the 90s. And so I've watched something called Captain Planet. And I used to take it seriously. I mean, when I watched Captain Planet, I was there to learn. And one thing I didn't believe in is littering. And so I would say, if you can, do not litter. That is one of the littlest gives that you can give. By when there's a trash can, unless you live like in a country where, like, let's say you go to Haiti or you go to certain third world countries, they don't have a system. If you are here in America, in Europe, in South Africa, in different parts of Asia Minor, there is a trash can there. Throw your trash away. That is a little give that makes a big impact on the environment. I hope that sticks.
It does. Nobody's ever said that one before, and I love it. It's so true. Just throw it away. If you don't throw away your stuff, that means that somebody has to come behind you and clean up after you. And it's also, and if nobody does, it blows around and, contaminates our environment. Just throw it away. Yeah, I love that one. Can you give the audience an example of a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been, a little give on their end, but really made an impact on you and in your life?
This is going to sound so weird. But this was probably 2015, and I was just having a really rough day, as a counselor, a rough day just as a person. And I was in the Midwest. I was in Kentucky, and I was going through a drive-through at an Arby's, and I ordered my food. And for some odd reason, I don't know what it was, and you can tell when it's a person's job and then when it's just their persona. But the girl was just really, really nice. And I normally don't stop out, and just have like odd conversations, but I just said, thank you for just being so kind to me. And it probably was nothing for her, but it made my day that someone gave me a smile on a day where, and this is even after my life had turned around and things had gotten better. We just, life is full of hills and valleys, and it's a lot like a pacemaker. There's highs and lows. And on my lowest day, I was just having one of those low internal days that was manifesting itself externally. Someone showed me kindness, and it made a big impact. The next day I went in, I was one of 3 senior counselors. I was able to be a good counselor to my caseload, to be a good senior counselor and trainer for the other counselors, to be a good leader for our counseling assistant. It's those little things. I'm telling you, when you just smile, and I think especially this is 2024, the world is just a strange, dangerous place, but a smile can do a lot just to brighten a person's day. You've heard it. If you haven't heard it here or heard it before, you've heard it here first, man. Give somebody a smile. Be kind if you can.
And it's something we can all do that's so simple and really does and can make a big impact to somebody. So that's wonderful. I wonder if that person knows what a big impact she made on you that day. It's wonderful.
She'll find out in heaven.
Unless she watches the show. So can you tell us about a nonprofit that you're excited about?
Yes. The nonprofit I'm excited about is the Equal Justice Initiative. And obviously, you guys know I started my career as an 18-year-old at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And so with EJI, they are dedicated to prison reform, especially for minorities. Unfortunately, I know, this is a broad audience. We don't really like the word systemic racism. We live in a fallen world. Unfortunately, it exists. And we see it mostly played out in our justice system, which is often not just to people of color. And I don't really like the words minorities because ain't nothing minor about Jahmaal Marshall. But I would really encourage everyone, please give to the Equal Justice Initiative. Every little penny counts. I know every time you turn on YouTube, Vimeo, or any social media, you're seeing these politicians saying, hey, give to my campaign so that they can just have more money to lord over you. This is a worthy work. Because with prison reform, you're actually reducing the rate of recidivism. And those who are in prison, especially some who are there unjustly, actually can come out new men and new women. So you're actually helping society. It's easy to think, what do people behind bars have to do with me? A lot more than you think. And some of us, I don't, but some people who live in more rural areas, you actually live closer to a prison. Wouldn't you want the people getting out of there to be new men and new women and reformed citizens, people reformed from the inside out, and people with shorter sentences because there is justice in the justice system? So that's my spiel on EJI. I love their work.
That's a new one. We have not had that one on the show yet. Thank you so much for sharing that with the audience. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find you and they can seek out your services and learn more about you and all you do?
Got it. So one of the easiest ways to find me is listenandspeak.com. That's my website. If you want to seek out my services, especially if you're a senior leader, VP, mid-level manager, or a business owner who is running a small business, please go to calendly.com, listen and speak. And there's a 30-minute link, and we can have a direct conversation for 30 minutes and just kind of get a feel and a pulse on where you are and if we're a good fit. The other way, if you want to email me, I don't want to give you guys too many things, but Jahmaal@listenandspeak.com. But the Calendly is the easiest way to find me because that's going to be what sets up some really good gatekeeping and where I can get a pulse on who you are and get to know you as a person and see how we can proceed.
All right, everybody listening, you heard all the details on where you can find him and seek out his services and learn more. Reach out, find out if maybe there's a way he can help you live a little bit better life. And if you love that nonprofit, please go visit that website, learn more. And if you're passionate about it, go make a donation. $1 or $5 can really make a big impact to these nonprofits. Thank you again for being on today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and we'll see everybody who's watching next week. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Little Give. If you would like to learn more about how I highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help others, or maybe you'd like to be a guest, or maybe you know a nonprofit that you would like to see featured on a future episode of Little Give, you can find all the information on our website at littlegive.com. If you'd like to get involved with our kindness clip segment, please do send in those videos. Send them via email to cindy@littlegive.com. Or you can tag us on any social media under Cindy Witteman or #LittleGive. If you'd like to know more about our podcast, you can also find us on all major streaming platforms under Little Give Podcast. Please do find our Facebook group, under Little Give TV show and join it. We'd love to keep you up to date with future episodes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to highlight the next ordinary person doing extraordinary things to help others. See you next time.